Welcome to Slabbed Podcast, episode 62. How you doing, Ketchumall Collectibles?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing, Dagreenshiz?
Doing pretty good, man. Cannot complain. Appreciate you, again, coming here, subbing in for my guy, Oak. It's bittersweet. Sad to not have him here, but he's very, very, very busy with school. So he might pop in, say hello in the chat, but probably not. I'll be pissed if he does. He's got to be studying.
Yeah. I like to bust your guys' chops. My favorite monthly podcast. I'm doing my part though to try to uphold that weekly target that you guys go for.
It's greatly appreciated. We've had I want to say is Mason, Drew. Damn, I'm naming names and I'm gonna miss somebody.
It's always a risk to start naming names.
There's only like 3 of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, so appreciate you coming on. Don't have too many guests, but I looking forward to this, getting into it. We've had some amazing weeks so far, so looking forward to talking about our highlights, lowlights, all the stuff going on. So it'll be thoroughly enjoying. Appreciate the people stopping in, saying hello. Yeah, there's a fake Nat Turner. Look at my son on the left in the chat.
Oh God!
Jesus Christ!
Somebody prepared for this one.
That's probably poop sock. He changed it. No, I was joking.
It's got to be Walrus or Brad. Or
it's gonna be so hilarious. Oh my
Which is probably Walrus or Brad.
That's so good. So tradition. We gotta stick with tradition. We always start off with a spicy comment, and luckily, you actually had won it last week, and we're going to definitely go into that. And you had said Greeny and his need for external validation of a 10 by a third party is the foundation of the hobby, and we need more greenies, and more big numbers.
Yeah, I think that's a very timely thing for my guest appearance, and it's a very timely thing for the video that you dropped at noon. My whole thing with that and where I wanted to go with it is great for the hobby. It's great for the hobby that people like big numbers. It's great that people will chase these cards in slabs. They will chase that external validation. I used to be the same way. I used to be had to be a PSA 9. Like I would try to get the best PSA 9 I could, but I didn't want there to be 10s. I didn't want there to be 8s. I didn't want like different. I used to be really particular in that same fashion. Over time, though, I guess I've been through too much, seen too much, heard too much about all these grading card companies. So like me personally, my take is you, Greeny, you out there, the listener, be happy with cards that please you for their condition they're in. Like one touches exist, top loaders exist, card savers exist. Whatever label you think it deserves, whatever thing you want on there. Like the big thing for me, if you have a card that raw in hand, you just love it. Like you front and back, centering, whitening, like whatever you enjoy in a card, if it checks all those boxes and then you send it away and you pay money to have that card scrutinized by someone else, and then that scrutinization makes you enjoy the card less. That just feels bad to me. Like it feels bad that you're paying someone to deride your card. And honestly, this Zapdos suffered a bad fate because you were seeking the external approval of like others, right? And it's kind of a sad story that just epitomizes like this whole thing that I'm talking about here in this spicy comment.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. To be honest, it definitely helps me as a seller. People that want 10s and the need for big numbers, that is key for sure. And I being who I am, I'm definitely guilty of wanting big numbers on my cards I collect. Most of the time I am chasing just the gray or just the card, just the gray, Jesus. Just the card, not the gray. Just walked right into that shit. But for this case, it is such an expensive thing. Like just the satisfaction of having the big number. It felt good. It felt good getting the big number. We'll get into it a little bit later, but it felt good getting the freaking 10. I'm like, no way. Like 7.5 to a 10, like we're chilling. Like this is peak. This thing's going in the collection forever, like locked in. But obviously it's subject to change here. But yeah. That was a good one. It was kind of spicy, but apparently everyone effing liked it. So I was hoping people would like the one where you kind of roasted them a little bit. Tag, LOL, or something like that. I don't even know, but
it's funny too. Like in your situation, funny / strange, whatever you want to call it. Like usually the most common thing that people are cracking for, it's like they're cracking, regrade, spending money, but it's like an investment so that they can subsequently sell it and earn more money, right? Like people are playing that game. You're doing it purely to just like lock it in the PC. So it makes it even crazier from my perspective. It's like if you're chasing the dollars, that's a play that's there, but like just get your own sonic welder. The amount of money that you like cost yourself on this card, get your own sonic welder, make your DGZ grading company, and then just put 10s on all your cards. Hell, put 1 million out of 1 million on your own cards.
I've been wanting to grade. I have like a couple of my baseball Little League rookie cards. I had a buddy that had a grading company in California, and he probably graded like 3,000 cards. I was thinking about sending them to him, putting like a 1 million grade on them or something like that would be hilarious.
I have some of my old Little League cards as well. I have a couple Pop Warner football cards back in the days when I had some monster glasses. Some of them are really funny. Huge glasses, bowl cut, like the whole thing. Someday those will hit the Instagram, be shown on YouTube, but that day is not today.
Should post the rookie cards up on eBay.
Yeah, those would have to be big bucks. I mean, come on.
For sure.
Brad's actually got a good topical question. Do you still physically have it, or did it go in the mail today?
No, they're sending me a submission kit to send it to them. So I don't even know what a submission kit is. But he wanted, I think it's got a return label in it, is kind of their point. So I don't got to pay for the shipping. They got that covered. So
yeah. I think Brad's wanting you to hang on to it. Brad's wanting you to not send it to him. He's wanting you. And then I actually listened to Cardboard Hands on 2X before this because I couldn't quite catch them live, but they only finished like 2-3 hours ago. So I 2X some of that, and Retro's like, no, man, I wouldn't be taking grading submissions. I would be trying to get thousands of dollars out of them, essentially, because like tag 10 should be worth a few grand. I mean, PSA 10, I think they're listed at like $9,000 or something. But
go ahead.
The way that the PSA financial guarantee works, I know like TC Genius was in the chat too. If you are the original submitter, PSA guarantee will not pay you out for a clerical error, they would call it, or whatever they'll define it as. So the only way that you would be covered under the financial guarantee, theoretically, is if you were to have auctioned it, and then the buyer could be covered under it. But as we've seen in the past, not to turn this into like a PSA thing, but we equally kind of bash all the companies, right? Like all of them have bad things going on. That Nidoking of Professor Oak Callie's, I mean, the head grader upheld that as a 10, and that was when $1,000 was on the line. I think that Nidoking was about $1,500, and obviously they wouldn't had to pay out the whole amount. They would only had to pay out the difference between that and the 8 or the 7, whatever it would have gotten.
That was a Shadowless 10 Nidoking, right?
Yep. Yeah. If you go on Professor Oak Callie's Instagram, it's still there. Like he never deleted the post or anything, and I think he just like auctioned it through PWCC or Heritage or something just to pass it on because like he
I don't want this shit. Yeah,
he tried pursuing the means which they theoretically have, and I mean, yeah, it kind of is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually, when I was on the phone with Tag, I asked them about their guarantee. And I was like, and then I looked it up afterwards, and I'm totally no shot. Like similar to what you said, if it's auction, then he's like, yeah, then we're covering it. Like it's on us. Like it's out in the wild. Whereas this, they kind of can make it right. They can cover all my fees. It's free. We did it for free. Our bad. Like, it's so it is what it is. I would love to keep it in a 10, but I also would like to see them try and make it right and maybe fix their system. I'm curious to see what that is. So it'll be really interesting to see the guy that I was talking to, I think his name is Matt. I'm drawing a blank, but he's gonna do it. He's gonna record some version of a clip that I can input into my next video where when I get the return, so he can kind of talk about it and kind of explain what the heck they just did to the card and why it's not special treatment, hopefully. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it develops. So they could have just let it go. Like if it probably was more damage to them by raising and reaching out to me because there's now going to be 3 videos instead of just me doing the 1 video. And so they're taking it head on. They're definitely, their PR guy was pretty busy today. So
yeah,
it'll be really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing the whole process. It'll suck not being a 10 probably for sure, but yeah. I don't know.
The card will still be the same card that you're sending out to them in the mail. Like going back to what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a really interesting thing, and I'll say up front, I'll say props to you for being honest and open and giving that transparency to all of YouTube. Props to you, because I mean they can't force you, right? They can't compel you. They could probably ban you for life. They could probably like cease doing business with you if you declined their request to have it sent in. But props to you for doing like the honest thing and going. I mean, the most lucrative route would have been for you to auction it, get 4 or 5 grand, whatever it would have went for, and then blow it up on YouTube as like, hey, they're gonna have to pay out that buyer because it's like that would have been a really a-hole move, but that would have been to the tune of like thousands of dollars. You could have done that, and it would have been fully within your rights, right? Like you weren't trying to hide that from them. You just sent in a card, regardless of condition. That card is worthwhile to like put inside of a slab. So yeah, I guess I'll give the props to both of you guys for that. Even though they are a robotic AI grading type thing, people will just dogpile because that's the way, that's the nature of people. We'll get into more of that throughout this live stream, I'm sure. People love to dogpile whenever anything comes up. People just love drama. They love all that stuff. So they're going to make it a huge thing. But any company, even those aided by robots, will make mistakes. It's bound to happen. And all you can judge someone on is how do they rectify that mistake, if they rectify it at all once it's brought up. And so props to them for, I mean, we don't know the whole story yet. We know a little bit that you told us today. We'll get more in your next video. Everyone definitely like and sub, I guess, while you're here, but also over at Dagreenshiz channel, because I'm really interested for that follow-up.
Yeah, I don't think they could ban me for that if I didn't send it back. They said he basically was like, yeah, I'm gonna delete it. You're not gonna have it, and I'll refund you. But that's like banning me would be a really bad look because I wasn't deceitful by any means.
Well, like, I know PSA did it. So again, PSA and Tag are not the same company, but I forget if it was with a collector stamp Charizard or maybe it was either with a collector stamp Charizard that got through, or it was with and someone in chat might remember, but yeah, E4, someone on E4, they got a card through that they kind of knew PSA wasn't intending to grade. PSA just completely whiffed on it, missed that it was like this. It was either the collector Charizard or maybe it was like a 4-position only Expedition Charizard. It was like a fairly contentious card just because it was Charizard, and that's the way things goes. I'm actually leaning more towards it being a 4-position only Charizard. Maybe someone in chat can help us there. But they reached out, they deactivated, and they said, hey, we did not intend to, we don't actually grade that, we don't authenticate that. And he declined to send it back. He's like, no, this is mine, I'm not sending it back. They like canceled his account. You're no longer a customer of ours. And I don't want to guess who it was because I feel like I kind of remember, but I might be mixing up that person. So, someone might know though.
Yeah. Tag, I got banned by Tag is a video that would go viral. I feel like 75 people would keyword search that, but it might not. We'll see. I feel like the video today was probably the biggest Tag video I'll probably ever have. So who knows though? We'll see how it goes. I feel like they have a hell of a backing. So all the different collectors I've been seeing posting about them, it has been growing exponentially. When I was at the National last year, they graded their first Pokemon card, and it was only the Topps cards, only square cut cards. So that in a year, they've done extremely well for themselves. I feel like in a year, just with who they're connecting with, or I don't know what they're doing really, but it's grown a lot, enough to where I sent in a freaking couple $1,000 card. Yeah.
And I've actually had the desire to, and I'll say this up front, I own 0 Tag cards. I have nothing out with grading with them. I'm not an investor in it. Like, I have no affiliation with Tag. But outside looking in, like, yeah, The slab does look really cool. I like the idea of having more competition. I don't think by any means that tag is going to be the future, like dethrone PSA, take up 90% market share within 10. Like I don't buy into any of that, but I'm more for like, hey, innovation, bringing a new competitor into the space. And to me, going back to the whole human grader thing, and what was the acronym that you mentioned in the video? It was like not human observable or something like that.
Yeah, not observable human defect or something.
So yeah, the way that I see this, like thinking about the technology, getting down into the nuance of how this works. Robots are grading it. Robots, the whole shtick is that they're infallible, right?
Yep.
The issue that lies though, they are trained by humans. So they're only going to be as good as their training. And one question that I've always had with these things is which scale will they use? Like a lot of people treat PSA scale as like God. That would be a 6 at PSA because it has an indent if they see it. Otherwise, it would be a 10 at PSA as well, and that could happen. At CGC, it was a 7.5 because generally CGC treats surface issues less poorly. So I don't know, like inherent to tag, are they going to be closer to PSA where they treat indents really harshly, or are they going to be closer to CGC? Maybe they'll be even softer than CGC. Like I'm interested. That card might end up a 9.
Yeah.
In my mind, in my opinion, PSA has always been way too harsh on surface issues, especially when they're on the back, especially when you can't see them unless you're really looking for them. So my main question for tag would be like, what threshold do you have? Because computers, robots, they can see a lot better than them. Do we want to, like, we're not going to get to the atomic level and that cardboard atom, that ink atom is slightly, it's yeah, like it's 2 nanometers higher, wider than it should be. So to some extent, like they need to be trained on the bounds of what they allow. And so I mean, theoretically, there will be these fringe cases where something is borderline human observable, and the robots just might not have seen enough of these fringe cases to be able to properly classify. And if it's that minute of a thing, going back to the whole scale thing, in my opinion, PSA goes to the 6 way too fast. In my opinion,
Yeah.
because like I've seen horribly Masaki marked cards that are 6s that are gem mint otherwise. I love those cards because it's like have them in a binder. It looks like a gem mint card.
Yeah.
It's just got a mark on the back that you'll never see because you'll never take it out of the binder. I like where CGC goes closer to an 8. Maybe tag goes closer to a 9. Like I would be perfectly fine with that. But people would dogpile it. People would say that's a 6 at PSA and it's a 9 at tag. Trash company. That's wrong. It's not wrong. It's just different. I mean, we there's no absolute scale. That this is all arbitrary. Each company sets their own arbitrary guidelines for what certain grade.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they end up, because it's going to be under a microscope what grade they end up giving it. So I'll know exactly how the computer is going to treat this damage going forward. And with my 20 free submissions, I'm not just grading grails there. The plan would be to see and test out like the different range like of different things. It's kind of like the first thing I do with CGC. So I'll do like a pen drop probably and a couple other things. I want to just know and feel it out. Have you ever graded with like DSG or Robo? I don't even know the different ones, but have you done any AI or computer grading?
The only companies I've ever graded with are PSA, CGC, BGS. I contemplated during the boom, during all that craze, I contemplated getting some submissions out to like GMA and SGC, and I never ended up doing it. Actually, for the past month or two, same thing as you said. Like I intended on sending 10 Celebrations Charizards and maybe 10 other random cards. And I was going to send one of the ones that came in damaged from TCG Player. I just wanted to see, like, I'm pretty comfortable. This would probably get a 6 at PSA. This would probably get an 8 at CGC. I just want to see what tag does with it. I want to, like, I would want to explore the grading scale. That would be my, if and when I ever do send a tag, I want to learn. Like, I want to explore the grading thing. And, like, a lot of us in here that are down in the depths, down in the rabbit holes, a lot of people would know like what card to send where and why. Like generally PSA is a bit softer on centering than CGC and BGS. And generally CGC and BGS are quite a bit softer on surface issues. So how do we integrate tag into this, if at all? Like that's the information that I would want to get.
Yeah, it'll be it'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. But Brad, I'm not even gonna put up the freaking poll because I know that most people. I read the freaking comments. I think it was the first time I've ever had more comments in Discords than I have on my video about what went on, and it's pretty much most people don't think I should send it back, but there are those select people who are like, yeah, F it, whatever, who cares? It is the same card. It's just play it out, see how it goes. Like, yeah, a lot of
you're doing the right thing morally, ethically. Like you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's what I've always been, dude. I don't want to change. I don't want to change up now. Like it's always what I've always done with CGC and F Beckett. But yeah, it's it's basically what I've been trying to do. So I'm gonna keep to what I've been doing and ain't gonna change now. Basically,
props to you for that.
yeah. It would have been nice to get like 40 free submissions. Well, we got at least 20, but
yeah.
Might have to send this one in because this pisses me off too. It's not a 10.
Yeah. Well, they might be watching right now, and hopefully they take care of you.
Yeah, we'll see. But it's all. I'm happy with what's happened so far, so it's all I can. It's all I can do. But we might get back into a little bit more of that. But I gotta ask you. We completely skipped the next week spicy topic. So I need. Did you think of one? Are you prepared? If not, I can go first.
You go first. I entirely forgot that I would have to come up with a spicy topic.
I put it in the effing notes. Next week topic. Jesus.
I skimmed over the notes very quickly. I'm usually not a note guy. I usually
you went straight to note 4 where it says Dan gets clapped by Nat Turner and just completely skipped the important one. Jesus. Okay.
Oh man.
All right, so we'll do the spicy topic first. So my spicy topic is, I think in a year from now, I feel like computer grading will have its place in the market for speediness.
I'm gonna go with can you pull down Basics comment? It's unrelated to you put another one up. No. Can you pull it down so there's no comment there?
Oh yeah.
The New York Rangers will be your 2023-2024 Stanley Cup champions. I'm calling it now. Unrelated to Pokemon, but that's what's on my mind right now. Up 2-0. It's a good start to the series. They're getting no love. I mean, I hope it works out for me because every week that I see their new futures, like their odds to win the Stanley Cup, it's like going into the series. They're the President's Trophy winners. They're like the fifth. They were like the fifth favorite. The fifth favorite out of 16 teams being the President's Trophy winners. And the Hurricanes, who they're up 2-0 right now, only the 2 home games, but they were the favorites by like a long shot over the Rangers. And they're getting no respect, and they're earning it, though. I guess respect isn't given, it's earned. So they're earning it right now, and I think they're going to end it with a W.
I feel like last night, I guess it's not related to your topic too much, but I think Shesterkin, the goalie, carried them to the freaking moon last night because there was like a 20-shot difference almost.
That was insane.
They about outshot you by 20 shots, and you were at home. I'd be nervous going into Carolina.
Well, first game as well. I think the Hurricanes had almost 50% more offensive zone time than the Rangers. I think the shots were like a little bit slanted, but not that obscene. The offensive zone time though was crazy. So the Rangers to be up 2-0 in 2 one-goal games. I mean that is hugely carried by the goaltending, and they've had for most of the time. Like each year, I'm more and more of a fan. I'm getting like more out of football, more into hockey each passing year. It seems like probably because the Jets suck and the Rangers are good.
That'll change.
But Igor earned that MVP last night for that individual game. He was a monster. I forget how many power plays the Hurricanes had in overtime, but at least 2, I think. Yeah,
they did, and they almost scored shorthanded on 1. Really close. It was good. It was a great game. I love hockey, football, all that stuff. So, what's your most expensive Shesterkin card?
I've got 2 or 3 rookies that I bought a couple years ago, so I think most of them are flat or down. But I'm not going to sell them anyways. I think most expensive one I bought was maybe $300 or $400, and it's probably $200 or $300 now. if he wins the cup, maybe 500, 600, 700. I genuinely don't know. But if one of the cards somehow went to like $10,000, I'd probably sell it. $5,000 even, I'd probably sell it. But these are not at risk of going to that, even if they win the cup, even if he's like the MVP of the finals. I don't think.
Are they like RPAs, rookie patch autos, or?
Yep. So I've got one that's numbered to like 700. That's one of like the. I think I have a Young Guns is one of the major things. I actually sold on behalf of a consigner. I sold a Sidney Crosby Young Guns rookie for like 3,600 a couple weeks ago. A BGS 9.5. I've got like a PSA 10. Igor, I think I've got the Young Guns, and then I've got a couple different serialized ones, and I've got one serialized as low as like 10 out of 10, but that was one of the cheapest ones I bought. That was like $70 or something, because it's just not one of the more mainstream manufacturers, I guess.
Since we're on the topic of hockey, and we probably won't come back to it, you want to mention the cool event that just happened for you?
I do. So the New York Rangers are playing the Carolina Hurricanes. We have a friend in the Charlotte area, big friend of the hobby, big friend of this channel, all individual channels included. Pokey Chef. I don't know if you're out there listening yet. I know he was gonna hang out in beer skis for a little while, but Pokey Chef, the Rangers had dinner tonight at the establishment where Pokey Chef works, and I don't have it in hand yet. I'm not going to show like a picture of my phone through the camera. It's going to be like super grainy and stuff. But Pokey Chef hooked me up with Igor Shesterkin signed items, I guess. I guess I'll leave one as a tease. One is a tease, but a Charmander card is one, and there's another item too. I'm going to have to get more to give him in Charlotte, but I have a where is it? It's right here somewhere. So I have a Cook card that looks like a PSA 10 from that collection that I bought. I'm going to try to like black label this thing or PSA 10 or something for him, bring it to him in Charlotte, but I'm going to have to do more because, yeah, he actually he gave me a little bit of the story. I'll spare everyone because you guys aren't going to be as excited about it as I am, clearly. But he sent out some of his most attractive looking waitresses to aid with the 55 size party New York Rangers. And he gave them like a little bit of homework. Like, hey, you got to find out which one is Igor. It's like Russian guy, long hair. That there's probably 10 Rangers that fit that description.
Exactly.
So like me, I actually told Chef myself, it's like if I had to pick him out of a lineup of the whole range, I might not have been able to do it. Like I usually see him in his pads, and I know his number. I see him in the pads and stuff, and it's like, but yeah, they thought they found the right guy. He went up and he's like, Igor, and the guy's like, nope. And he points. He points and he's like, he's over there, and made some joke about like, oh yeah, he's a real like mean guy. I don't know if he's gonna do it for you, but like he went over there, and I actually told Chef too, like probably he thought he was signing a Pokemon card for like a 4-year-old. Little does he know it's for a 34-year-old like grown man, which I think is hilarious. But that's gonna be a PC Grail forever. I'm so thankful to have Pokey Chef as a friend. Yeah, Google, but like those guys are all probably like donned in suits and stuff, hat,
exactly.
Like, similar attire. And again, like a Russian with long hair, there are 10 Rangers that fit that description. There are a lot of them. So props to Chef for getting it sorted out. I can't imagine. I'm sure that he probably got his chops busted a little bit. Like one, the guy that was mistaken for Igor, and then Igor himself. Like I can't imagine what the guys around him think. Like just funny. I actually was doing some homework last week on like, are there any Rangers fans that are there any Rangers players that are Pokemon fans? I couldn't turn anything up. I didn't spend like hours on it, but I spent maybe 10 or 15 minutes on Google. I couldn't figure anything out because I would have like told Chef, gave him a little bit of intel, but yeah, I'm super excited for that PC Grail that's about to enter my collection in Charlotte.
Send that to Tag.
Maybe we'll see. It's funny too. Like I actually did a match. I pulled up on eBay one of Igor's. I have mine somewhere. I don't know where exactly, but buried. I pulled up one of his autos, and like the auto is pretty unique looking, and it looked really similar. I mean, I'll be interested to see if I can actually get it PSA authenticated. I probably will try that.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I'm so excited. I'd be pretty excited. There's a local card shop to me that does. they just had every single Lions player, like every single one, all the big like 10 names from the team, and it's like $250 an auto. So to be able, what's going on, chefs in the house?
There we go. Yes, love to see it.
It would be so cool just to get something like that on a Pokemon card. It'd be super cool, and then for that to happen through somebody you know is just that's unreal. And that's like the night after he just whooped ass at home, like so cool.
Yeah, and people who know me, probably a handful of the people in the chat, probably the majority of the people in the chat, like know my history with autos. Like I've just long been, I don't really care. I genuinely don't care that much. It doesn't really do anything for me. But the story, like I am going to the game Monday if it happens. I mean, maybe the Rangers complete the sweep, but I actually have Game 5 tickets. And I just watched that 2 overtime game last night. I actually could have been there. Sad story. I was supposed to get my blacktop driveway put in today. It ended up raining. So like I didn't book Game 2 tickets because I was getting my driveway done. I literally could have been there last night. It's such a sad thing that I didn't make it to that one. But now, I mean, if Carolina takes one at home, if Rangers take one, I might get to see the Rangers close out the Hurricanes on Game 5 Monday. So, yeah. And if the Rangers sweep and Game 5 doesn't happen, immediately I'm buying Game 1 or Game 2 tickets. I'm going to the Eastern Conference Finals if the Rangers sweep. Like I am 100% going to a playoff game one way or another this year. I'm especially now with like the auto, like generally speaking, I don't care, but like having the friend in the community who did the whole hookup, the games, like my first playoff game ever. I'm so excited to get that thing in my collection.
I'm jealous. So the first 25 years of my life, the Red Wings made the playoffs. And it's been an 8-year drought.
Crazy.
8 years ago, I don't think I had the money to go to a playoff game, but God damn it, I'd want to go to a freaking Red Wing playoff game for like the last 8 years. So we're so close. We're like 0.3 points away from making it. So pissed, but got to see the Lions playoff game, clap Matt Stafford's ass, which was great. But
yeah. I used to go like pre-pandemic, having 2 kids. I used to go to a Rangers game every year for like 8 years in a row. So there's a trio of us. It's me, my dad, the fellow investor, and then one of his friends that used to go on those trips. And anytime all 3 of us went, the Rangers are 8-0. I went with my dad separate, and I watched them lose. This guy, he went with one of his buddies before. Like he's seen them lose separate. But the 3 of us together, they've not yet lost for us. And hopefully we can keep that going as long as possible. But like if the Rangers make the Stanley Cup Finals, and if there's a potential clinching game that's home, like it can only happen 2 times. It can only happen in Game 5 or Game 7. Obviously they could win Game 4, but that'll be away because they're the President's Trophy winners. So
yeah,
if they make it, that's a huge if they make it to the finals, and if there's a potential Game 5 clinch scenario, Game 7 clinch, I mean, Game 7 is automatically a clinch scenario for either team. But like, I don't know if I'll be able to swing it, but I'm going to be looking.
How much do you think those would cost? Or how much can you say how much yours cost for like $300, $400?
Yeah, so I usually spend. I looked back at like my 8-year history. I'm Dan. I have a spreadsheet. I literally have a spreadsheet
for this.
I literally have a spreadsheet for every game I went to, how much the tickets cost. One thing that I keep it for is like section and row, just so that I can like. There's certain seats that I've had like do not get these ones again. This one, certain places in Madison Square Garden actually have like partial obstructed view, and they'll usually say that when you're buying them, but not always to the full extent. But anyways, a typical regular season game that I'd go to was normally between 150 and 200. I mean, New York City's expensive. It's only 18,000 people can go, and 10 million people live within. I mean, not all Rangers fans, but like supply and demand. That's just the way it works. So I was kind of surprised. Initially, I'm like, "Ooh, this feels expensive," but we spent $475 all in, taxes, fees, everything each. 2.5 times what a regular season game costs. Like that feels reasonable, honestly, because there's only so many playoff games, right? So
for sure,
to me, it felt like decent value. If it goes to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, I would think getting in the door would be minimum $2,000, $3,000. That would probably be more than I could justify, but like I don't know. Pokemon's been kind to me. I've had like a 4-year lull, 4 or 5-year lull of not going to Rangers games. So it's like go back in strong. It might never happen again. I mean, the last one they won was 93-94, 30 years ago. so they're due.
Yeah.
I'm super excited though.
Hell yeah, man. That'll be awesome. Good luck. Definitely you gotta take some good pictures. Look forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
You're getting roasted. Thanks, Brad, for coming in. Thanks everybody coming in, saying hello. Bunch of legends in here. You got Hawaii's in here. What's going on, SDC? Ancient Muse here from the grave. How you doing, man? Long time. Yeah, so I definitely want to talk real quick about Nat Turner clapping you. That was pretty effing hilarious. Like you had, what was it? It was last night your live? No, it was 2 nights ago.
I was live last night. PK was live Monday.
Yeah, so have you ever in your life been told you were dumb by a billionaire?
Or no, I was live Monday night. I was live the same
That's what
day,
I thought.
right? Yeah. Clarification. I was not told I was dumb. I was asked to not be dumb.
Asked to not be dumb.
Oh. See, I was on this big high talking about the Rangers, talking about my new PC item, and Josh is like, okay, we got to take him down a couple pegs. We got to talk about the Nat slander. I genuinely thought it was funny. I thought it was a funny interaction to have with a billionaire. I can't say that a billionaire in any other time in my life has told me or will tell me in the future to not be dumb. But I will heed his words. I will not be dumb. He was misunderstanding what I was saying. We smoothed it over in DMs. How many billionaires will not only see your DMs, but then answer to them? We smoothed it over in DMs. We're good. There's no beef. There's no drama. He's not going to make a call out video on his own YouTube coming back at me.
When you DM'd him, you gotta answer. Did you ask him, or did he know who you were? Like, did he recognize the username as the dumb guy talking about spit and water?
Well, I said something about like, hey, I made the water chemical comment. Like I literally opened with like, and over the years, I've probably DM'd with him 4 or 5 times. Like not tons of times, but like every time he's seen it, I think he hasn't always answered, but like most times he's answered. And I just said like the water spit thing. I know you've probably heard it a million times where people say like water spit chemical, Kurt's Card Care chemical. So I'm going to use it because you use your chemicals. I use my chemicals. I wasn't coming at it from that front.
Yeah.
My whole thing was like, you can't have a policy of no chemicals because Kurt's Card Care users will say, well, your rule is no chemicals, but technically, actually, that whole meme, you guys are using water and spit. I'm using natural chemicals too. And when he responded to me too, he kind of like fumbled over his own words a little bit. Like he tried not using the word chemical. He started saying chemical, but then he switched it to substance and he talked about natural. Those are the same selling points though that Kurt's Card Care uses. So like you need to be more specific. Like people will just, semantics. Dan's being a pain in the ass. Dan's being a smart ass. Whatever. Dan's being a dummy. I actually went on. I tried having a discussion about it in my own live stream, completely failed. I thought that was a bigger L. I handed myself a bigger L than Nat handed me during the PK live stream, trying to talk about that. But then in office hours last night, the paywall stuff, I actually had a further conversation. Like I didn't bring it up. People are just going to bring it up. And it went well. I mean, after the memes of a couple individuals, I don't want to out anyone for being behind the paywall. But after some memes were said in the paywall, like there was a decent discussion had. And I genuinely think it's an interesting discussion, like having a background in coins, having a background, like, well, not having a background, but like having the analogous like comic book conversation there too.
Yeah, I think that is the weirdest part is that like I think I made that comment, probably the only comment that made sense that I gave you in your live stream. Was like it would be interesting if they challenged like, hey, you do it for coins, you allow a version of this, and then comic books similarly they allow pressing and doing all this crap. It doesn't make sense. Like he had made the statement, Nat made the statement that it's not fine art, should be treated differently. So it was really weird to me that is treated that differently. So I don't know. I feel like it should. I don't know. It's the same as coins and comics in my opinion. So I feel like treat them that the same. It's stupid.
Yeah, the arguments I heard, and I understand, like Pokemon Classics made a great video. People should go check that out. Cars are utility. Restoring cars different because you're restoring the function or you're restoring whatever. But like art, the Sistine Chapel, it's a one-of-one thing. It's historic. It's literally hundreds of years old. Restoring something like that is of historic significance, of a historic importance. Cards like this, well, like if you've got a WotC card, hundreds of thousands of these were made. And the big differentiator is condition. So if you start like upgrading the condition of all the lower ones and you make it so everything's 10, it's like, what are we doing here? That's a good argument. But then I would point to the complete I think it's a perfect analogy. Like coins are minted in the hundreds of thousands to millions. I mean, a coin mintage of like we have illustrators that are 39 or maybe 390 copies. We don't really know. We have trophies that are 6, 10, 12 copies. Those are actually closer to the one-of-one art. Whereas some of the rarest coins, it's like not many coins out there are minted less than thousands. I mean, there are coins from the 1700s that were thousands of them were minted. Maybe tons lost to time, destroyed. Maybe there's only 100 known copies. But like, it's interesting to me what's allowed. And honestly, as a coin collector, I never liked it. I never liked how much PCGS, NGC would do towards restoration. I always thought it was like too much. I was more of a purist, like, don't touch this thing. So I'm completely on that side that especially like the waxes. I am 100% against putting stuff there that wasn't there when it was made, or removing stuff that was meant to be there, like trimming to cover that basis. But as far as like ethanol, IPA, I've never used them. I won't use them because I know that they have the intent that they don't want people to. But like, if you can't police it, if you can't enforce it, you really can't have that rule, or at least you shouldn't, because then it will just be to the detriment of people who play by the rules, right? And then the people who don't play by the rules will be monetizing that, I guess.
Yeah. I had made the video one time. I don't even know what kind of alcohol it was. I put it on my Blue Eyes card, and I put it on a different card. I put it on a different card first, and it had zero effect. And then I put it on this one, and it took the sheen off of it, and it was pissed. I didn't understand that, and that taught me a very valuable lesson that I'll only ever use water going forward. So
yeah.
You win some, you lose some. But yeah, I agree completely.
Stick with the water and the spit.
Exactly. What's going on? We got Z&G Emporium in here.
Of course. Of course he's got to come in. And
I think he owes PK a favor. A couple of them. A couple of reach rounds or something.
Yeah.
That's cool. Shout out to PK, by the way, for getting that turnaround a second time. I enjoyed the first one. I feel like this one was, for me, it was way better because he wasn't ripping packs the entire time, so he had way more of Nat's attention. And they feel like they knocked out a lot of stuff. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But shout out to PK. Go check out that video if you have not already. 100% recommend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think it's going to be an annual thing. Obviously, PK will really want to keep that going, and I hope he does because it's good content. Yeah. Every time Nat is on appearing somewhere, like he'll always give a couple little tidbits. He'll always give new information, which is great.
Yeah, I'd be curious, like if you went on another channel this week, would he give more? Like I was like, Jesus, like I feel like
he gave a lot. Yeah,
he drained the freaking hose on that one. Like it was insane.
There was some mystery item, and I text with PK periodically. I didn't try to like pry it out of him, but he was shown something, the first of some item ever graded, authenticated, whatever by PSA, and his lips are sealed. So I don't know when. I don't know if they gave a date when we'll find out about that.
Nope.
Presumably like this year, probably, but it could be a while still, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it'll be on their page for sure. They'll definitely announce something fancy. Somebody had mentioned earlier, I think it was Brad, Orlando CollectCon. I know you've mentioned you're going with the wife, kids, or just the wife?
Just the wife. Obviously people think like, oh, Disney, take the kids. My kids are 3 and 5. Disney,
Same.
Disney on Memorial Day weekend is probably going to be 80, 90 degrees, maybe hotter. Like, my kids are not ready for that. When the time comes, maybe 5 years from now, the kids will absolutely get a lot more Disney trips than I ever got growing up. I got 2. My wife got 0 growing up. So they will be more spoiled than either of us were. But it's just not the time yet. My wife loves Disney, though. I enjoy it. My whole plan for Orlando was to go in to pick up eBay vault consignments. So rest in peace to that plan. But I'm going to bring some cash. I'm going to try to prearrange some deals. I might still pick up some consignments. eBay vault's going to be gone. I think we're going to get into that later. But I'm still going to go. I'm going to try to do a little wheeling and dealing, maybe bring a couple high-end slabs that I couldn't sneak into the vault. Maybe try to sell, buy, trade, whatever. Prearrange some deals, but hang out with everyone too. I am getting in, I think, Thursday night. And then we're staying on resort. I've never stayed on resort for Disney, so I'm excited for that. We're gonna do Hollywood Studios and Epcot, I think.
Nice.
There's like a gondola that goes directly from our resort to that, so that's exciting. Haven't ridden a gondola since the snowboarding days, but yeah. Then I will be around Sunday afternoon at the con. I'll be visiting our sections. I don't have one of myself, obviously. I'm not vending, but I'll be hanging out with everyone, and then I'll be there all Sunday night too. I fly out at like 6 a.m. Monday, so I'm probably just not going to sleep.
So you won't even be hitting bars on Saturday then? You're just
no.
Yep.
I might so Thursday, Friday, probably just be me and the wife, completely us. Saturday night, I might try to do like a small dinner with a couple people. We'll see. I might end up trying to do something with some people Saturday night potentially, but no, it'll pretty much be Disney until Sunday, maybe lunchtime. We'll see though how the scheduling works out.
Yeah. I look back, it was almost 2.5 years ago when I interviewed on my video, my channel. You were saying you don't plan on ever doing cons because you see no value and you only want to auction and sell through eBay, or not auction, but sell through eBay. What do you think changed?
Did I really say that? That's surprising to me.
100%. I literally just listened to some of it today in preparation for this. I'll send you.
I'll have to make a note. I'll have to go back and I'll have to look at the transcript on that. That surprises me. Honestly, one of the biggest parts for me is like just seeing everybody. It's like a subsidized vacation. I mean, you go on a business trip. It's paid for by the business. It's primarily business. I guess you got to allocate the right percentage when you're doing some personal stuff. But yeah, I won't get too in depth. But there is value to having some cash sales here and there. There is value to seeing things in person too. I've not really done it much, but in the future I want to do it more, where instead of buying a thing blindly on TCG Player, instead of buying a thing on eBay and wondering, are the pictures good? Am I actually seeing everything? Being able to like actually audit, is this card going to grade a 10? Is this card going to be able to be profitable for me? So yeah, that's interesting though. I definitely did a big 180 on that, and it's primarily just like going, having a good time. Networking is huge. Like I'm actually undergoing a business relationship with Retro. I would not have been able to entrust him with what I'm doing. I mean, I sent him a bunch of money. He's buying a bunch of Japanese boxes. He is fulfilling. He's storing and fulfilling these boxes on my eBay.
Yeah.
He has like access through his eBay to the shipping portal of my eBay essentially. And had I not met him multiple times in person, had I not gotten to know better face to face, like I wouldn't be able to do. And that's just like one example. That's one recent example. There's so many other deals that I've done. I mean, there are consigners, large consigners that I have today that I first met, shook their hand in person. And I think that's just a huge thing for like branding and being able to get that, those like relationships.
Yep. Yeah. So when I pressured you, I was like, so why would you ever go? You had said basically the same thing. It's like, just see some of the people, network, talk to people. Like you said, you didn't have much interest in selling at all. So yeah, I'll definitely send you that. It was pretty funny. Just very cringe, very, very cringe. You didn't have much of anything on your background. I think you had a Snorlax, your giant ass Snorlax back there, but
I occasionally will like call back to some of my videos and I'm like, I think it's like 6 months old. And then I go and I look and it's like 2.5 years old. It's like one of my first videos. It's funny to see the progression because like the first handful, I was in front of a shelf with like uncut sheets hung on it. And then it turned into like this background. I literally did one video on PWCC and eBay breaking up where it was like the bare studs with a drop cloth hung over them. Well, on the backside of it, because you wouldn't have seen this, but you could see the studs. And so, yeah, like this whole, the progression of that is cool to see.
Oh yeah, it's come a long way. So I guess I was thinking like for Orlando, why haven't you ever just gone to just buy a bunch of stuff? Like, because I see it as it could be more profitable doing that because you're just going and selling for market for your stuff, but you could go down there and actually get it. Like, you don't get a chance to see all these cards and buy in person often. Why don't take advantage of it while you're there in person instead of selling?
Sourcing has never been an issue of mine. So my background was like 7 years as a side hustler / hoarder. Like I've talked about my backlog so many times. The backlog is still not entirely gone. So I've always had enough work to do. I've always had enough cards to grade and sell. And so part of it is like not needing to add on a ton more to my pile for that. I'll try to do a little bit for a couple hours probably in Orlando. But to me, it's like now that I've put so much out there, buying collections, this and that, I've got this entire thing of Sun and Moon, full like complete set, all these Sword and Shield stuff. It's like if I need to source, I just make a video and talk about, hey, I'm going to buy your stuff at 80%. And I get 10 emails to the tune of like $100,000-$200,000 of potential buys I can make right there. So sourcing has always been a bit easier to do lately, especially. And then another thing that I guess I should have covered on the previous point, but one of the main things that I target, I guess not the main thing, but one thing that I always target selling at conventions in person is people love to gamble in this hobby. You can make an argument, the foundation of this hobby. I mean, the grading, the pack pulling, just gambling is inherent here. So I always want to be, and you have a story probably you could share if you wanted to, of like buying stuff from me along these lines. I always try to bring a bunch of sealed for the people that want to rip. And it's just easier to sell in that fashion. Because if I sell that stuff on eBay, the heavy pack thing, potentially getting scammed, all that risk, like all those, I mean, the fees are high on stuff like that. Obviously, the eBay vault is something that made it harder to justify selling high-end stuff at conventions, but that's going away soon. But yeah, I always do 5 figures worth of like packs and boxes. Yeah. Because those are just a lot less risky to sell cash, irreversible transactions. Not because I'm doing anything shady, not because I'm like pulling something over on someone, but I'm preventing them from being able to pull something over on me. Because it's like I buy a box from my guy that I always buy from. I know it's 100% legit. I try to sell a heavy pack on eBay, and someone opens it and they claim that they got like, I mean, I would have no recourse. eBay would side with them every time. So I've always tried to cater my inventory towards like, or the lower end too. Like I've had the $20, $25 bins. You don't get eaten alive by the $5 shipping on a $20 slab. So I've gone that route too. Like there are definitely certain things that you get beaten up more, or you have the potential to be beaten up more selling online. Whereas in person, it's just cash done and over with.
Yeah, I guess me and you are kind of opposites of that, where I don't have a long, extensive backlog of different things to be grading and selling, which is why it is a big thing for me lately. The last few I've gone to, I've just been buying, and it's been really nice doing that side of things. Thoroughly enjoy it. Being able to recoup all of the funds of the trip by just buying, flipping cards. I definitely enjoy that, because going down there to sell my stuff, like you said, I just could sell it on eBay. That's kind of basically where I'm at with my stuff. I'd rather, most of the time, I'll take a few things down there probably for Orlando, give to people to consign it, put a couple shiny things in their box, see if we make a cash sale on something. But yeah, primarily just going down there for myself and local shows to buy stuff. Yeah. Have you gotten back into Heritage Golden like you did back probably a year or 2 years ago, buying collections?
I haven't looked. I haven't looked at a golden block in a long time. Heritage recently had a little bit of stuff. I placed like a pretty low bid. It's like if the trophy's given away, I guess I'll take it. I don't necessarily want one, but if it goes for this, then I guess I do want one. So I've bid on Heritage a little bit recently, but few and far between, more of the exception. Come summertime, when I'm back to working days, more like probably come fall time, when I'm hopefully fully caught up, fully organized after the summer, back to working days when everyone's in school, I want to get back into like really turning up the sourcing more.
Yeah. There's a signature auction with a shit ton of uncut sheets. It's probably not your bag, but I think it's May 17th, 18th. So
I know they do pretty well with uncut sheets. I actually have a stack, not like 50 uncut sheets or anything, but 10 to 20 probably, that I might actually look into just selling through them. Like I don't really know. Because those are kind of, they're not terrible, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to ship those things. I actually have some Tops ones that like have to be shipped flat too.
yeah.
So that just makes it like, if I could just ship one big flat package to Heritage, I need to sort out what I'm going to do with those though.
Yeah, I think there's like literally 20 different Pokemon uncut sheets is the most I've ever seen through them. So nothing super fancy at all, but just a bunch of random different stuff. So it's pretty cool.
I'll have to look. Maybe it's something along the lines of I have a handful of different things.
Yeah. I had saw PK's comment in here about burying you.
I saw that.
gotta ask, did he I don't know how you managed to get us off of this topic so fastly, but did he apologize?
No. I didn't say anything along the lines of like, you owe me an apology. I'm deeply offended. Like he just said he understood, like I forget exactly what it was. He said something along the lines of like, he understood what I was saying. And then I just said, like, I actually went on to say, I'm 100% on your side on the wax thing. And I think you guys will be able to sort that out. Like, I'm glad you guys are putting money into R&D on that. And I said that, like, honestly, the IPA, the ethanol, like those kind of solvents will be tougher. But I said, I'm glad to hear you guys are doing something there. And he just said, thanks. And then that was it.
Yeah. Yep.
But it was such a nothing. Like, it got clung onto. And actually, when Brad himself, if you go back a little bit earlier, Nat's little don't get cute stuff wasn't even that big of a deal. It's so funny to me it blew up. Like, for him to admit that it wasn't a big deal, like, shows you that it really, like, I mean, Brad will jump onto any drama. He will stir the pot always. And it was really a nothing. It was funny, though. Like, I genuinely found it funny for him to, I think he was a bit on the defensive. Like, obviously, that there are at least 8 figures at stake. I mean, I don't know that there would be $1 billion of cards encapsulated, but one card, the Wembenyama 1 of 1, if wax was put on that with Kurt's Card Care, I mean, that is literally a 7-figure liability in one card. So there is absolutely 8 figures worth of liabilities out there. That Kurt guy, he said he's been doing it for 20 years and he's done it with like tens of thousands of cards. So
that's what Nat said. He said people have been doing this since the 80s. It's just way more mainstream now. People are trying to make it businesses like Kurt's, and they're trying, because before it was always just behind closed doors and Fat Tommy would just do it in his sweat box and just do it himself. But now people are selling kits and promoting it and YouTube and social media, and it's crazy. So, we got the social media to thank for all this crap. So it'll just get worse for sure.
One thing I have on my list of to-dos is to dive deeper, like the chemical engineer in me, the former chemical engineer in me. I'm actually really interested to see, like I showed on my stream, the vast difference between like a walking $50, all that toning, all that, like, kind of, a lot of people deem it unattractive on a silver coin. And then they really shine it up a lot. I went more into the terms and stuff on that off stream later on. They claim that they don't use, I don't know that they outright claim they don't use chemicals, but judging by, like, just looking, they're saying they're not adding or removing anything. But if they're not using some kind of a solvent, I would be extremely surprised, because there are solvents that would, I mean, the crud and the gunk would be soluble, but the silver and the copper would not be soluble. So it's like they would be able to legitimately say that they're not removing anything originally there. And technically, like, I don't know if you saw the clip yourself, but that Kurt's card care where he has an entire vintage card and it's like bubbling.
Submerged.
I don't know. I mean, it looks really bad. I feel very bad about how it looks. But in the spirit of the rule that I came up with, like don't add anything that stays that wasn't originally intended to be there, and don't remove anything that was originally intended to be there. Technically, that's in the spirit of the rule that I crafted. Like, I don't know what rule you could craft. And one thing that they do at PCGS and one thing they do at CGC Comics, they will remove some stains. So it's like, why if I buy a binder collection that has a Charizard that a kid put in his pocket, maybe it got some Cheeto dust, why can I remove Cheeto dust, but I can't remove, like, it wasn't supposed to be there. If I can remove it in a way that doesn't alter the card itself, the cardstock itself, the ink, like, I can see it being an argument that could be allowed. Yeah. But as of today, they're taking the stance that you can't, even though the analogous thing in coins and comics, they can. Like, it's of big importance to the hobby, I think, how they deem all this. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, Collectors owns a company that allows cleaning of cellophane, removing stickers. So Wada Games, they allow, you could click a button and they will put some freaking fluid on there and they'll peel the sticker off the Target brand, like retail sticker that was made for the game to be sold at Target. They don't deem that as part of the original piece, so they have no issue just peeling that bitch right off, even though that was how it was intended for sale at Target. Like, that was, if you walked in there, you're only going to buy this game with this sticker, unless you went to GameStop, then they got their own sticker. But it's weird how they allow, like, yeah, let's get these stickers off, let's make these look nicer and stuff like that. It's really strange to me how it's, I don't know, it's just strange. There's so much different bullshit going on.
Yeah, and I think Nat, I don't think he's the CEO of PSA. I think he's the CEO. Yeah, I just pulled up his LinkedIn. I couldn't remember. He's the CEO of Collectors. So he's literally the CEO of two companies, PCGS and WADA. Well, I guess he's not. So he's the CEO of the parent company of two companies who have one take. And again, like we were talking earlier, there's no absolute right and wrong. This all needs to be defined by the hobby. This needs to be defined by the hobby, enforced by the hobby industry leaders, one of which being PSA, CGC, BGS, TAG. Like, we don't have to follow exactly in the footsteps of coins and comics and video games. We could define our own set of rules, what's allowed, what's not. It just needs to be clear, succinct. Everyone needs to know and understand and agree, and then it needs to be enforced. So it's like, this is in shades of gray. Everyone is on board. No trimming, no inking. Everyone is on board with that. But there's a lot of stuff in between. I mean, didn't you do a little bit of like massaging type thing with the Zapdos trying to I talked about that a little bit on my stream. Like, I've pulled cards before where I take the side of a pen and I kind of brush it through a card saver. Yeah, like massaging away a little bit of a dent. And I've seen sports card people that do that too. They take like a little bit of tape and they get all that fraying, that weird like extra material on the edge of those like thick rookie cards, rookie pack cards and stuff. I think that's generally fine, but like, I don't know how PSA and CGC and BGS feel, to be honest. I don't think it's well defined. I don't think it's defined almost at all.
I think it's hear no evil, see no evil. Like, they don't want to see it. They don't want to see that happen. Then they'll have to deactivate it and all this other shit. But yeah.
Which is like the head in the sand thing. That's not like policy. That's not, I don't think that's the right way to go. Coins, again, if we go to the space where, I mean, if we go to the space where 5 years from now, they actually talk with Kurt's Card Care and they get it all sorted out and like these certain ones are approved, and the crazy part about PCGS and comics and WADA, that's not even them telling you can do it. That's them doing it for you. You pay them to do it.
Exactly.
So it's like they're acting as Kurt, and maybe not to the full. I don't want to say that they're directly doing everything that Kurt is doing. Like they're doing some of what he's doing, though. They're doing some of it, and more controlled, more like maybe someday we get to there in cards. Like I genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yes, we'll see in the next couple of years, maybe, but probably not. So the Nat Turner stuff, I want to dig into it a little bit more. Again, appreciate PK getting them on and getting some of that stuff. But yeah, like you said, he is the CEO of Collectors. I'd be really interested. I feel like the CEO of PSA or the president, it's probably a president that reports in that, is an extremely busy dude. But I would love to hear. I doubt he would ever do a live stream, but that would be cool to hear that dude because he's more. Yeah, he's in the day to day.
He had a I actually reached out to PK like last week. I was talking with PK a decent bit, just texting him, and I sent him a link to a Ryan Hogue interview that was done only 2 or 3 weeks ago. Okay. I'm like, hey, you might want to check this out just so that you can ensure that you don't like double dip, double up, like don't ask questions that we already just got answers for. And because I genuinely I follow, like anytime I see or hear that Nat Turner was on a podcast, even if it's Sportsland or whatever, I like consuming that content. I think it's really interesting. He always drops a couple tidbits. So yeah, Ryan Hogue, I can find the link, and I can send it to you later if you remind me. But he was recently just on some sports podcast, and as he was actually on the Jeff Wilson show 2 weeks ago. So it's an hour-long thing with Ryan Hogue, Jeff Wilson, the sports card investor. So as Nat always does, he dropped a couple tidbits. I don't remember exactly what they were, but I think he talked about the Wembanyama, like because it's more in that sphere. Yeah. Jeff Wilson brought up the Wembanyama, and they talked about that a little bit. And
when are you going to get to that card place? When are you going to get to Cards HQ? You going? Jeff Wilson's place.
Where's that?
Atlanta. There's a collector on there. You going?
I'm not going to that one this year. Long enough timeline. I kind of want to try like all the different locations, even Kansas City. Check out all the tumbleweeds. But no, I do the ones that fit my schedule best, right? There's 12 of them in a year. Like card party, not Collecticon, but similar. That one didn't fit my schedule because it's like Father's Day and Memorial Day weekend just worked out well. The wife has Friday, Monday off, so we're doing that one, and I'm popping into New Jersey one day because we're actually in the vicinity for a family trip. So yeah, long enough timeline. I'll probably hit Atlanta eventually. I'll probably do Long Beach eventually, as long as they don't drop it like they dropped Denver from last year.
They could. I would say, though, with the way you're trending, doing just one-day Collecticons, you're probably not going to be going next year. The rate you're moving, Jesus.
I'm still doing two. What am I doing? I just did Dallas. So I did Dallas for the whole one. I've always said like 2 to 4. I'm actually doing 5 this year. I'm doing 3 full-fledged. Dallas, Chicago, Charlotte. And then Orlando was just like a little like Orlando. I had several people messaging me like, I've got big stuff to send to you some people big stuff, some people smaller stuff. But I was going to be bringing like a couple hundred cards back for the eBay vault. That was genuinely the pretense is the trip was planned on. But that one's more of like the wife with Disney. That one's kind of like our corporate retreat every year. You know, you gotta have the entire board. I'm an S corporation, so we're gonna be Friday and Saturday. We might be at Disney, but we will be drilling into the financials. We'll be doing big picture, small picture, 5-year plan. We will be having our annual corporate retreat at Orlando Collecticon.
Big brain. Nice. Yep. Well done. Well done. So the reason you're not doing the gathering of the slabs is because they announced June is the transfer. Is that where your date in your mind right now?
Yeah, and Orlando is literally like the last weekend in May. I will be like I don't know what it will be. I don't know exactly what it will look like. I have a couple different. I see James. I'm not writing off Disney tickets. I'm not writing off Disney resorts. I'll make that perfectly clear. But the flights, I'm staying at the official hotel Sunday night only. Obviously all that stuff will be written off. But anyways, where was I going? Oh yeah, the vault. On the other side, I will be doing buy it now consignment of some kind. Buy it now consignment on my eBay. I actually have hundreds of items on my eBay that are sub 250 or that are not eBay vault eligible. And
Yeah.
I have like a decent amount of consigners that are still interested in that stuff on the other side of the eBay vault. I'm pursuing, though, potentially still offering eBay buy it now. I'm looking into what rates I can offer. I'm actually looking into other platforms potentially if eBay doesn't pan out. I mean, there's like Kanto Shark out there. He does it all on his own website. There are people who do it all different kinds. I mean, there's PWCC, there's Heritage, there's Golden. There's a lot of potential things out there, and I'm considering everything at this point.
Yeah, like Nat had said, their goal was just to make everything easier for the sellers, to make it more accessible, like to be able to just grade the cards and click a button and boom, 20. You see the grades, 24 hours, the bitch is on auction. That, I mean, and it's not something you have to deal with. You do not have to deal with the shipping or the feedback or the returns. Like, basically, it's your service that PSA will be doing directly, right? So where do you, is there an opportunity for you there for, I think PK had asked, like, if they'll get special rates, and he sounded like he was open to thinking about it. Like, it sounds like it would definitely be worth his time if they're getting enough cards in through X person. But do you think that could happen through eBay still, or do you think likely it would go elsewhere?
There's a potential, obviously, that so what PK had basically asked, like, hey, I have some high end people that do consignment, they do 7-figure business. Just what I am aware of and what I've heard with respect to like grading fees, the amount of volume they require, and then the minimal discount they give to like dealers for grading fees, I'm a little bit pessimistic on what they'd be willing to offer. I feel like I'd be more likely to get something where, because it would need to have enough margin to where I could make it make sense for somebody, right? Like, even though PSA is doing a lot, they're not doing everything. There's something to be said about some people, their unwillingness to do anything with respect to selling. Like, there are some people out there that just very happy with their day job, whether they're working 40 hours a week, 80 hours a week, whatever it may be. They just have no motivation to price cards, do cards. So if people would send to me, I would send to PSA. There's still going to be some amount of work involved. Like, there's a potential there that I could offer that. Obviously, if PSA were to say, Dan, if you sell X million, X whatever through us, we can give you Y percentage off. And then I can charge the public rate while pocketing whatever the differential is. That's a potential. There's things with PWCC that's a potential. There's things just on my own eBay, stored in my own vault, in my own safe deposit boxes, whatever. There's a lot of different options. And I definitely am a planner. I like knowing what's coming for a ways out. And these past couple of years have been tough. Like, having a lot of my plans shifted towards Troll and Toad Evo, and then not just having the foundation like shook and then completely removed, and then pivoting a lot of things towards this eBay vault consignment. Like, it keeps me on my toes, right? It makes things exciting, but stable and predictable is kind of nice too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you've been doing it how long now, full time? It's almost
3 years in July.
3 years? 3 years in July.
Yep.
Damn. It's got to be nice to be like a little bit the freeness, like being able to, in the middle of the day, you guys go to the zoo and stuff like that would be, during the summers would be so cool. So,
It's nice.
Very nice to be able to get the time, because our kids are the exact same age basically. Mine are 3 and 5. They'll be 4 and 6 in June. Yeah, it's not enough time in the world, man. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What was your one big, maybe it was the June date, but what was one like big takeaway or a new thing you learned from that anything stand out?
The big thing for me was definitely the vault. Rusty actually made a great video. I don't know if you listened to it yourself, but Rusty was like a very early vault adopter, one of the first 4, first 5 or whatever. It was
Yep.
interesting to hear some of the additional insight that Rusty gave, but like hearing from Nat that it was in the works for a long time. I mean,
3 years.
I share some of the same frustration that Rusty was airing because I've been talking with people at eBay that probably knew this to some extent. And to be fair, like some of them are probably like they're probably completely out of the loop on it, to be fair. So I don't know who Rusty coordinates with. The people that I coordinate with, some of them genuinely might not have known. But some people clearly knew. Some people clearly knew that this was going to be the plan, or they were at least trying to make that happen from before the vault's inception, before it first came to the first wave, people like Rusty and Probstein and stuff. So that was a big takeaway for me too, for sure.
Yeah, I listened to it, and Rusty said he signed a 25-year agreement, which is insane.
That's just for the first batch stuff. Yeah.
Yep, but it is crazy that they knew this since the inception, essentially. Like, yeah, we basically built this up knowing that they're going to get a free company from PSA, from collectors. Eventually, they literally they got Golden, and they're like, hey, you guys can do the vault for us now. I don't know, in my opinion, eBay won massive, but
to be fair too, I mean, they could plan all they want, but there wasn't any certainty. But like until a deal is done, the deal's not done.
100%.
So there was some chance that and that's the argument that they'd make too. Like I'm making eBay's argument for them. There's a chance that wouldn't have gone through, and then the eBay vault would have been standalone, as they were saying. 3% buyer's premium always seemed way too ambitious. That always seemed way too cheap. But I would have hoped. My thought was always like, as long as we stay 5, 6, 7%, and I know like the high end of PSA is that 7%, but the sub 5,000 really hurts. That's where the vast majority of my like. Greater than 5,000 is the vast minority of the things that I do. And it's interesting because like once you get high enough, I mean the eBay fee is 12% to 2,500, and then it's only like 3%. So I actually mentioned in one of my live streams a few weeks back, I turned it into a short actually. That $217,500 sale of Zach's Charizard, that was 0 fees through the eBay vault, and then I charged Zach like 1% to sell it. Had that been sold through the new PSA vault arrangement, that would have been a $15,000 fee. Had I sold it on my eBay as normal, it would have been $300 for the first 2,500, and then it only would have been like $6,000, 60 something hundred. So it would have been like less than $7,000 to sell on my eBay. So like if you have the uber high end stuff, like 25,000 plus, your own eBay, my own eBay, like. Theoretically, I'm still open for consignments on the really high-end stuff. It'll be better than PSA Vault.
Yeah, I didn't realize the Vault didn't really have the similar cap that eBay does. So that's absurd.
But that's literally like, that might be 5 cards a year that I get in that I potentially sell. I did my top 5 late last year. I think my 5th highest was like 11 grand or 10 grand. So I think I only had 2 cards above 25,000 where it would have been cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like most things, most of these vault services, everything's probably negotiable to some aspect. It depends on what quantity you're doing. If you're an absolute whale, then they're going to want some of your high-end stuff in there possibly. But I thought it was interesting, like some of the crossovers and just button clicking, like doing a crossover my BGS or tag or CDC straight into PSA because it's already in the vault. That'll be pretty interesting. I feel like it won't be used too much by myself, but just some of the different things, and I hope it rolls out as fast as kind of how he's saying. I feel like I don't want it to be 2 years from now to have all these cool things he's talking about. It sounds like most of it's going to happen this year. The buy it nows, the auctions are going to be in June, but I really hope it does roll out this quick and it's so seamless. But I don't know. What do you think? Think it'll happen?
Yeah, obviously another side of this is like, what's that saying? Door closes, window opens, whatever. There might be applications to my own business, potentially consignment related, like me facilitating this for other people, but like just straight up for my own business too. Like I've got this massive collection in front of me. Given that I have to do the submission, given that I have to do all the legwork, like I'm going to be more choosy with what I actually send. But if and I don't think it's going to get to this point. Shout out to James, Z&G Emporium. I don't know if he'll ever bring Consignment Plus back, but there was a period of time where you could, like, I could send this whole thing to James, and James, Cam, Brian, whoever it was, they would enter all these for me. That's the worst part. That's the worst part of the whole thing. I could send them 1,000 cards, and they would do all the entry. I don't think PSA is going to do that, but if they are, like, and honestly, I think PWCC does that. I think PWCC does that, not with PSA. Maybe someday they will. Who knows? But CGC, BGS, SGC, maybe someday tag. I think PWCC actually offers where you can just YOLO send raw anything, and then they'll do the entry. They'll do the, because I know a couple of people have talked about that. They've YOLO'd some like really crazy stuff, and it's like sometimes it's panned out and sometimes it's not. I actually did a video on that like 2 years ago, where I sent in raw stuff to PWCC. They sold it through CG. They graded it in CGC, sold it. It didn't go that well because I got wrecked with 8.5s. But it's nice to have that more like passive ability to just chuck stuff.
I feel like Consignment Plus will exist after this happens, and I feel like it'll be pay in advance. Like people say, you're giving me 30 cards, give me $15, whatever the price is. Whatever makes sense to give you some money, but you'll be like, you're giving me 30 cards, you're giving me X quantity times that dollar amount. And if there's an upcharge, then you're going to be paying for it. Otherwise, I'll be taking your effing money is kind of what's going to, the contract's going to say. But yeah, I feel like that could be huge. I don't think PSA would ever do entering in submissions and doing all that. I don't think they're going to, I don't know.
If they would, though.
Yeah.
And the fact that they might not, if they don't, that leaves an opportunity for people who want to do that as a consigner, because like that's a very attractive, I forget the exact numbers, maybe James is in here, maybe he'll share, but how many tens of thousands of cards he got across just a handful of months. I was kind of surprised. I was texting him, I'm like, James, just raise the fee. Like you're saying it doesn't make sense. Like charge more, people will pay it. I will pay it. Rusty mentioned in his video that he sent some amount of cards through that to James, and I hadn't yet, but I had intended to over time. And it's like, just charge what you need to charge to make it make sense, and you're going to get a lot of volume. But one issue with that too is like, if you start that as a consigner because PSA doesn't do that out of the gate, or if you start a consignment thing based on 0%, 3% eBay vault fees, there's always the risk that some bigger whale will just buy that or start doing that. Like, you don't want to pivot. So 25,000 cards. Like if James, and James is a smart guy, he would definitely consider this. Say that PSA Vault comes out in June, and say that they don't offer the entry. Maybe James pivots big back into Consignment Plus. Maybe he does it at whatever the public rate is, plus $3 a card, whatever it may be. People would pay it. I guarantee you people would pay $3 over a card. And then whatever James gets on the discount, that side, like it could make sense where he would get a lot of cards still. And James could pivot, and he could go 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, and he could be crushing it with that. And then one day somebody could look at it from the PSA side and say, you know what? We're going to hire X amount more people. We're going to offer this new service to people where we just take in cards and we enter them for you. Like at any time, they could just add that service. And then, not that it would wipe it out completely, but it would make it a lot tougher, right? Like, you always need to be thinking of these things. What can come?
Yeah, Nat did mention that he said that when you buy a raw card, you will be able to send it to PSA to get graded.
I think authenticity guarantee only, maybe.
No,
that's the way.
He said
any card.
Yeah, he said eventually. It's not one of the early things. It'll probably be a year out or something. There will be a button to where when you buy a raw card, they are going to be doing what you just said. He said they're going to be doing that instead of Florida. I'm guessing CGC does the raw ones now, but they're going to be doing that. But he said you will be, if you buy a raw card, you can send it directly to PSA to be graded. So that some version of that they're going to have to be doing. They're going to have to be doing the submission forms, and
which I wonder if you'll ever be able to just directly submit. Like, are they going to be counting on the eBay having those pre-filled things, having some amount of the work done up front? But not everyone does those, right? Some people do all of them. Like Mr. Walrus, I think, does on average like 15 different item specifics on Nick's account. I do like 6 or 7 on average. So it'll be, I guess, as always, I've only been doing this full time for going on 3 years, but every couple months there's some like fundamental, like massive change in the hobby. It's crazy. It's a lot to keep up with.
I'm interested in doing this Consignment Plus. Like, I don't see the effing risk. Like, it sounds phenomenal. If say the fee's $13 to submit, we'll just call it 15. It's $15 to grade a card. If I charge people $19, I receive the cards, I submit them for them, and then they get sold through eBay's vault. I just give them a check. It just, I don't know. It'll be all I have to do is submit cards. I don't have to receive them. I don't have to list them. I don't have to do anything. I'm just gonna follow the eBay alt and pay people out. It just seems.
To me, that's one of the least favorite parts, though.
Agreed, but give me $4 a card, I'll be making $100 plus an hour.
Yeah,
I'll be cooking for them boys.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I have a lot of ideas in my mind of what I might be doing on the fallback. Always like what I've always done is just buying and selling my own stuff too. Like that's always there. But I do like I like the consignment angle. There's obviously a benefit to having not your own capital tied up, being able to do things at a high hourly rate.
Yeah, I highlighted this comment because it didn't make sense to me. Does it make sense?
It sounds great until you submit a $40 card and it sells for $12 from a PSA 24-hour auction. He's just talking about like if you grade something, say it's a $20 card, you pay $15 to grade it. And part of that is like if you're doing this Consignment Plus thing
in advance.
I mean, a lot more people would be into it. And if you could make it work, if you could make it make sense, if you could have it be post-pay, you would just need to be cautious. And as James says, like, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of things you can do. I know, like my own dad, a lot of people in my family. I know a lot of people that are like tradesmen. Tradesmen, for whatever reason, at least when we were growing up, I think there was a massive push towards college and you got to go there and this and that. And I think these days it's being questioned a lot more and a lot more people do like some kind of an analysis on, is this going to make sense for me? But there are people that crush it all day long doing jobs that other people don't want to do. Like being and some people love that kind of stuff, hands-on, like, and this is submitting cardboard. Like I would be way more interested. Putting in furnaces, putting in air conditioning, like going up in the attics in the 90-degree summer in the blistering heat in Florida. I mean, being an AC tech, being an HVAC tech in Florida has to be very lucrative between June and August. Yes. Because no one wants to do it. And a lot of people don't know how to do it. And this is some semblance of that, but like that's a lot more extreme. And sadly, this might make you more money just because you can do 100 cards an hour, like however many cards an hour. Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. If somebody sends you 20 of the same card, you're like, whoo. Yeah. Yeah. It could be interesting. Insane. Timmy had commented, would you rather have a first PSA 10 set or a PSA 8 Illustrator that's on Golden right now?
An entire base first. So, I mean, my boring answer is always going to be like the one that is worth more, and then I'll just sell it. Like, I don't want either of these things. If I owned the Illustrator, it would be like, this is cool. I've never been one to think like the Illustrator is the leader of the hobby. I would always go like 97 #1 Trophy Pikachu. So I would not want either. I'd want to sell them. But if I had to have one, I'd probably lean more towards the complete set. Just because that's nostalgic to me. I never had like first edition cards growing up, but I knew what they were. Everyone had that Machamp, right? But they knew it was different than the other ones because it was guaranteed. And I didn't even know what an illustrator was until I like came back into the hobby. I never heard of that. Like I know some people talk about their childhood and they knew of it. I never did. Did you know of the illustrator back in 99, 2000?
Hell no. I didn't even know what a shadowless card was back then. So
Oh, me
no,
neither.
that was what blew my brains kind of when I got back into it in 2020. So went balls deep into those cards. So yeah, I would definitely be the same. A first edition set all day. F the illustrator. Not a. There's like 100 of them bitches already by now. Or if there's not, they've been regraded a bajillion times, like my Zapdos.
Mm.
Yeah, they're a bunch of hoes. They're definitely used and abused, for sure.
Oh man, Walrus and Brad.
Thoughts
Yeah,
and
to
all?
me it's pretty easy the base first set. But I don't really want either. There's a lot more things I want for the amount of money that those are.
Yeah.
All outside of Pokemon. But if it had to be inside of Pokemon, my Grail, I guess, would be the number 197 Pikachu.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it seems like a cool card. Anybody, if you feel free to ask some questions, we'll probably go just for probably about another 30 minutes because I got to get up at like 6 a.m. I want to talk to you a little bit about MetaZoo just because I watch Nick Strength and Pokemon. I mean, might as well call him MetaZoo Nick at this point because I feel like most of the videos are MetaZoo, but he was in DMs with Mike Bedell, giving him receipts, showing him all this different stuff. I'm assuming you watched it.
I did not.
So Mike Waddell and him texted back and forth, and Waddell basically showed him that a bunch of different things. But it sounds like he's trying to make some things happen. And yeah, good night, Weedle. Have a good one. This is why I save this for the end. But yeah, was curious. Is there any idea, like if this came back, if MetaZoo came back full force, would you be back? Would you be partner Dan, sign me the F up? What would you be doing?
What you just said is what it all hinges on. If it's back and I'm in at distributor pricing, no. Or
Yeah.
at least like it would be much more minimized. If I'm back and I'm at partner pricing, and if I have like some kind of a, and it would need to be better than it was as a partner. Like I would need to have some belief that it's going to be different this time. I would probably end up falling for it and it wouldn't be, but no, I haven't been keeping close tabs. I'm in a million Discords. I'm always online, like listening to all the content. I haven't watched Nick Strength and Pokemon's videos though recently. I did tune in really briefly to that Whatnot stream where Mike was selling off all these grails, whatever, trying to like. I saw his story yesterday or maybe earlier today too, where he paid a $20,000 retainer to some lawyer with the proceeds of that auction, I think, to try to save MetaZoo or whatever. I'm aware that supposedly some people are improperly selling things out, like the back door, side door, and not allocating the funds towards MetaZoo games, like paying off. Yeah, MetaZoo's here. Shout out MetaZoo.
Got Nat Turner and MetaZoo. Man, you're a popular guy.
Yeah, I'm bringing all the titans of the industry to the Slabbed podcast. But yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm at the point where it's like fool me once, fool me twice. That old thing.
Yep, for sure. What was it? It was somebody had asked how many Celebrations Charizards you have graded. Do you know? Is there a number?
That's tough. If I had to guess, 500-ish maybe. I don't know. I feel like it should be more. Maybe it's not quite that many. It's definitely not like 1,000 or something. There are probably individuals out there that have graded like 1,000. One, I'm assuming you're talking all companies, so that's like all 3 companies. That's not all PSA. I know. I think way back when I did that video, I think there was a couple Celebrations Charizards potentially. Maybe there wasn't, but like I've done. Yeah, I guess that's close enough. 300 to 500, we'll say, a pretty big range. Not enough. That's how I should have answered. Not enough. The world needs more.
Just wanted to shout out my guy STF Gaming. He one of your competitors.
Yep. Yep, I talked with him. I actually bought. I still have them on my desk. That's how disorganized I am. But I bought a bunch of packs off him a while ago. And I been talking to him a little bit more with the whole vault thing going on.
Crazy times, man. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but you guys will come out on top. You'll be all right. Peeked at you had an extensive question. On a scale 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest, how much more difficult do you think it is for someone to navigate the market without ingesting any Pokemon content from YouTube, Discord, etc.?
Without ingesting any Pokemon content. So I'm assuming you're including like E4 and all this and that. I think a lot of people do have it a lot easier today on just like getting right up to speed immediately. If you have any kind of a question, you can Google it. You'll get pointed to E4 Bulbapedia. If you but in some regard, like maybe it's too much. Almost if you didn't ingest any of it, you might not be so subject to analysis paralysis that some people fall into. So I'd say like a 4 maybe. Like you absolutely can do it. You might even, depending on your temperament, depending on who you are, how you interact, all that, you might have an easier time. Certain people like that just dive in too deep, get too way too analysis paralysis. Like, that's what do you think on that one?
Peeked at you didn't want to hear my answer. Fuck you, peeked at you. What are you doing?
He just said, "Give us your answer too."
Fuck you. Question for Dan. He put that bitch straight up just for you. He did not want to hear from me. It was very clear.
Camera, Josh.
It was very clear.
And full screen.
Jesus Christ. Basically, I think it would be impossible. Like you could download TCG Player, and that would be your. That's not social media. That's not YouTube. That's not Discord. So then you're in the market just with one app. Besides that, you have no shot. I don't know how you would do it. You can't look at all the different things going on and stuff like that. So I don't know how it's possible at all outside of just looking at TCG Player and eBay.
I think you would be able to look at eBay and you'd be able to, I guess you wouldn't have Instagram. You would still be getting fed ads. I feel like eventually you'd somehow stumble upon, if you cared about it, like grading. Obviously you'd see the cards on eBay. You could go to PSA's website. I don't know.
I wouldn't have without that. The only other way it could happen is if I'm going to play at LGS's, like Ivy's over there in Vegas, and actually playing in person, and then somebody says, "Hey, by the way, this friggin' box just doubled in price." Oh shit, really? But I wasn't that. Without the content creation and all this, I would not have been anywhere near.
Well, one thing I'd say to push back on that, how did you get into it in 1999? We all did.
I took some garbage out. My dad bought me a pack, and it was probably tops.
I think it's a lot better for spreading information quickly and this and that, but it can be done without it. And the cornerstone of that, I think, is the LGS. Shout out to the Masons and the Ivies, and I think there are a lot of people. We are so down the rabbit hole. The average Pokemon consumer does not grade cards. There are so many people that just go to Walmart, go to their LGS, rip a couple packs. We are so in deep here. And everyone in this chat is so in deep that we lose sight of what the average interaction with the hobby is. We, not all of us, you're not full-time, but we eat, sleep, breathe Pokemon. I mean, is there a day that passes that Pokemon's not on your mind to some extent? There's a lot of people that have just more, I guess, less continual engagement with Pokemon all the time, and they just dabble in it. We're all into it.
Who do you think is going to be the first Pokemon millionaire to go on their news channel because old boy made or old girl made $1 million buying and selling Pokemon cards? Because Leonhardt's been on the news, but that was more so for the pop-up shop and what he's done in content creation. It'll happen. The age of us and the people that we're intermingling with, people in the news and stuff like that, it'll eventually happen. when do you think that would be? You think it is in the next 5 years, or
just somebody being on like a mainstream news channel,
CNBC,
like
James D&G Emporium, $5 billion Pokemon company? When do you think it could happen?
It could happen at any time, just because like there are dozens of those people, dozens of those. I mean, if not hundreds of those people, those stories, probably dozens. It's probably not hundreds, but yeah, there's a lot of people already that it's changed their lives. And oh yeah, Pokey was on Vice, which I mean, Vice is pretty big, I think.
Yeah, I don't know Vice, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I guess just like Peek That Choose question, a lot of it depends in the nuances of how you define it, which is what we come back to in a lot of these discussions.
I don't know who that is. I think I blocked him. Question: I generally want to get all my Pikas and tag slabs for aesthetic reasons. Yay or nay?
I think one of the most, and maybe this should have been my spicy comment, one of the most underrated things, at least in our circle, not broadly in the hobby, is just raw cards. Like we get so swept up, and it's great. It's great for me as a Pokemon business. We get so swept up in what other people think. Like, you have kids, I have kids. I think one thing that we're going to try to instill in our kids, especially when they deal with like going through middle school and high school and bullies and this and that, don't worry about what other people think. Like, be yourself, be the best version of you that you can be, want to be, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And if people hate on you, if people bully, like, don't give merit, don't give power to those external thoughts and opinions of you. And yet in this hobby, it's like we are a slave. A lot of people are a slave to the external thoughts. So I'm Team Raw.
That is some of the worst advice I've ever heard from you in my life. The poor son of a bitch that just sold you that raw collection, if he would have just graded some of his cards, probably 120 cards, he probably would have been cooking.
See, that's different, though. This is collector basic, I believe. This is like PC Pikas, I believe. I could be wrong. Yeah. If we're talking financial incentive, different question. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel, he's going to be disappointed as shit because they're not all going to be 9s anymore. He's going to have a bunch of 10s and 11s. So
that Zapdos. Tell me one thing. So that Zapdos, you originally intended to keep it forever, right?
Yeah, I do.
Now that you damaged it, now that it won't say 10 on the label at any grading company, I have a suspicion, another spicy take, you will not own that card in a year. I feel like you're going to move it out because it's not going to say 10. You're going to have to get a better one. If you had just PC, Greeny, if you had just kept that card raw, you were very pleased with its condition, like, you could have just enjoyed that card forever. But then the external, going back to my thing, my spicy winner from last week, if you had just enjoyed it for what it was and not needed external validation, you would have more money and you would have more enjoyment in that card than you do today, than you will next week, 2 weeks when you get the card back. You have been victimized by your own need for external validation. Am I right or am I wrong?
I don't think I'd have more money because, I mean, at $15, I don't have upcharges from these companies I've been grading with. I did send it at whatever the $60 tier or whatever with PSA, so I didn't get upcharge. I don't even know what tier that was.
Like couple $100 in grading fees and shipping, whatever, right?
Yeah, so I'm down, call it $200 in shipping and all this stuff, but I don't know. This thing's had such a story now. This son of a bitch ain't leaving, but there's no shot, and I just would never lose an effing bet to you because I've lost enough cash bets to you for football games.
Now you have to diamond hand it forever.
So you're definitely going to lose a bet in the year, but
you won't be able to. When that thing says 8.5 will be even. I just like 8.5s more than 8s.
Does tag authenticate with an A? I'm curious. I don't know.
Oh God. If it says A, you can lie to yourself that it means like A out of A.
You can't fuck that up. I'm just saying it's hard to mess that up.
Talk to your buddy in Florida or wherever you said he was. have him grade that Zapdos, have it say, "You're an all-star, Greenie. This is the best Zapdos I've ever seen." It's to me, it's like that's the dark side. Like I think these companies are needed. They provide an unbiased third-party opinion on the condition of a card. They allow us to do buyer and seller. They allow us to do business easier. But your interaction with this Zapdos is like the dark side of grading. And a lot of people fall victim to it, I think. A lot of people get raw cards that they're in love with. They really like them. And then someone calls it a 9. Someone calls it a 9.5. Or not a pristine, not a black label. And then they don't want it anymore. A card that they otherwise got a lot of joy from. And then, like, going back to the playground, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I didn't really get bullied much or anything in school. I don't didn't have issues with that or anything. But think of a kid going school shopping, getting some new clothes. I used to wear, like, NASCAR shirts back in middle school. Which, where I grew up, like, other kids were wearing. I stopped wearing them before I started getting picked on them, because in high school I probably would have gotten picked on for them. But, like, imagine you get a shirt and you love it and you wear it over the summer, and then you go into school the first day and some kids pick on you for it, and then you never wear that shirt again. You rip it up, you throw it out, and, like, that's what the grading card company did to your card, like, essentially. Right? Am I right or no?
Yeah, a little bit. I'd beat the shit out of the kid, to be honest. But it's.
I'm gonna try to raise my kids to, like, don't listen to what they say. Do what you want to do. Do what, like, makes you happy. But yeah, with this card, like, I forget what's the entire journey. What was its first grade?
9.5 from Heritage from Charlie Herlocker. Then I was a PSA 9. And then I said, F it, give me my 9.5 back. So I sent it back to CDC. It got a 9. And then I cracked it. And then when I cracked it that time, it got fucked up.
7.5. Yeah.
So,
man.
I was like, yeah, they won't notice. 7.5. Yeah. It's been a journey. I'm looking forward to being authenticated now. So that'll be good. They'd be devastated if I said, I'll just put an A on there. Holy shit. That'd be pretty fun. That'd probably actually make them happy. They'd be like, oh man, we ain't going to catch no flack. We got rid of the number.
Did you guys discuss that at all on the phone call? Or as of now, it's just like...
There's going to be reassessed. They're going to completely crack it, rescan it. I don't really know, to be honest. Another question for Dan here. Top 3 best video game soundtracks of all time, in your opinion. I said Killer Instinct was one of the absolute best of all time. Jesus Christ. Any ideas? You just played Fortnite your entire life, right? Oh, no, RuneScape and Fortnite.
RuneScape has some bangers. Sea Shanty 2 is one of the best songs of all time. Write it down. Google it after this. That song slaps, as the kids say. I used to play like Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, Grand Theft Auto 4. I had a lot of time into those. I used to play. I'm not like a huge. I guess because I'm a robot, I don't understand the art form of music as humans do. But I'm not like a massive guy into music. I like 90s country because I'm like nostalgic for it. I like certain things that I'm nostalgic for. But yeah, I can't even name what songs were on some of the games. But if I were to, like, look at the soundtrack for, like, Gran Turismo 3, Gran Turismo 4, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Grand Theft Auto, like, some of the games that I played the most, those would probably be it. But I can't even tell you exactly what was on them. Nothing, like, comes straight to mind of what would be my best.
NHL Hits is one of them. Absolute just bangers. Need for Speed Underground.
Oh, I played that.
Got to see those guys live at CollectCon. Signed my titties. It was amazing.
I played a bunch of Twisted Metal for a little span there. I'm looking up right now like what their soundtrack was, but I feel like there would be certain games that like if you played the music, I would probably be taken back to it, but I can't like off the top of my head name what they are.
Another question for Dan. Relentlessly cross grade to reduce value and still rich as a mother effer. How do you do it, Dan?
I don't know. You're the one doing it, so you got to answer this one.
Not going to be spilling my career, but I have a good job. I've been here 13 years, busting my balls for a long time, in sales for the last 8 years, and it's no sugar mama here. She's a stay-at-home mom, so she's I see how it goes when she starts working when the kids are a little older. We'll see. It'll be nice. Hopefully I get to retire early then. We'll see.
Yeah. Hopefully you're investing in enough Sword and Shield booster boxes so you can do that.
I'm telling you, dude, my Lost Origins cooking. Shit. Damn. It's exciting.
I saw the one. I saw the one that says Dan would have got bullied, but him and Nat went to different schools. And then I saw, did Nat pick on you for your shirt too? No, but Brad G Cards picked on me for my shoes. The only reason I know the manufacturer of my shoes, and Brad, I just bought another pair of Avias because they're nice and comfy, and my other ones got too muddy. But no, I've always been like aside from, I'm not gonna buy like, oh yeah, Tony Hawk, like Pro Skater, Tony Hawk Pro. Oh yeah, Dave Mirra too. Dave Mirra. I played that the BMX version of Tony Hawk. Basically, I can picture myself doing that one challenge where you got to grind like 400 feet down the rails. Was it called like Woodward or Wood? I don't remember what the park, what the map was called, but like, yeah, I'm flashing back to it.
Yeah,
I feel like Dave Mirra too had a really good soundtrack, but I can't even think of the songs.
he passed away, right? Isn't he? Didn't he? Pretty sure he did.
Dave Mirra?
Pretty sure.
Oh yeah, he did. 2016.
Yeah, not great, but yeah, I never played that game.
Sublime, What I Got. That's the song that was in my head. Light me up that cigarette and I'll strap. I think that plays like in Dave Mirra somewhere. That one, every time I hear it, yes, Sublime. So anytime I hear some of those songs, I go back to like some of those challenges you got to do and like specific ones, like certain ones just stand out above the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. Donkey Kong Country soundtrack. Come on, Lava Lizard. What the?
I didn't play Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, I didn't. I never had a Super Nintendo. I think that's what that was on. Yeah. Fun stuff, man. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on though and substituting in for Professor Oak. I got maybe one more question. What is this? Can you explain why it is the right thing to do to send Zapdos back if it's purely for PC purposes? Because I'm a nice guy. That's basically about it. They called me. They asked me to do it. I was like, I don't care too much. I can't sell a deact. Like if they deact, they're right off the rip. They're like, we're going to basically deactivate it. We got to. Because you still have it in possession, we got to deactivate it. We're not going to pay you out. You can send it back. We'll get it fixed. Oops. I was like, sure. If it'll make you guys happy, whatever. Too nice of a guy. That's, I guess, what it boils down to. I don't care too much right now. So, and like I said, because it is PC, it wasn't trying to. If this was a card I was like trying to sell, I would have been a lot more devastated. It would have sucked. I probably wouldn't have made a video, just because the risk of that. Then they're like making the video is like odds are it could get picked up, like, and then they're gonna find out. Like, I would rather keep that one hidden and not say all this shit and actually sell it. But yeah, most of the stuff it's not. That's not the case for me. So,
it was just wrong. Right, like it should not be a 10. It is not a 10. Maybe nothing would eat at Greeny, but like if it were like to me, my knowledge of what the card actually is matters more. Like I can grade a card better than PSA, better than CGC, better than BGS. I know what I care about. Like my grading scale for me is Supreme. PSA's grading scale, CGC, BGS, Tag. None of their grading scales, my actual preferences. So when I see a card that I like at this point, the market just values everything more than I do. So I just grade with the optimal grading scale, biggest number, biggest money. I do all that stuff. I actually get questions all the time too, like on consigner cards. When I take consigner cards in, I don't look at them. I don't look for issues. Like so many, like I'm not looking if there's dust in there. I'm not looking if there's hairs. I'm not looking if the 10 is actually a 7. I take picture front and back, I list it, and I sell it. Like that's the whole reason for these third-party graders. I'm
Yep.
not looking to do all that extra work and stuff. So had that come in on like had you consign that through me and hey Dan, can you grade it with Tag and then sell it? I would have not even like obviously I have to pre-grade my own cards, so I'm looking at these cards in front of me to make sure they're actually gradable. But when I get stuff from consigners, it's like I'm not going to do what Ludkins used to do. I'm not going to charge you $1 a card to pre-grade and estimate your grade. I am taking what you're telling me to send, and I am full sending because I don't know if James is still listening, but I actually do a tiny bit of Consignment Plus, only for select consigners, and it's kind of like baked into the fee. I'm not like making a much up, but I'm selling the card on the tail end. But there's no pre-grading. There's none of that. It's full send.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Appreciate you stopping in, Retro. Good to
That is
see
the
it.
food of food. That is not food. That is the food that my food eats. That's the utility of it on the food chain.
Yeah. Jesus. All right, man. I look forward to seeing you on I think I'll see you Sunday for a little bit. I leave like 5 o'clock or whatever on Sunday, so I won't see you too much. But look forward to seeing you at the end of the month. That'll be a good time.
Yep.
Again, appreciate you subbing in for Oak. We missed you. Hopefully you got a bunch of schoolwork done. The madman's taking like 3 courses that are expedited, so he's a bigger man than I would. I cannot do that myself with one class is my maximum when I'm off for the summer, so I'm looking forward to back in the fall. We'll get back into it. So appreciate you again. Appreciate everyone coming through, saying hello.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Thanks, chat, for hanging out. Chat always makes the live streams. And
Certainly.
thanks, Oak, for letting me take your spot. Big shoes to fill. I don't think I quite did it justice, but I'm doing my part to try to keep this weekly thing going.
No, that was good. Appreciate it. All right, guys. I'll see you guys probably next week. Y'all have a good one. All right, peace.